Okay, so I'm recording, and now you're going to record in 3, 2, 1, record. I just hit my microphone.
Like a total pro.
With my other microphone.
Here, I'll make you feel better. There you go.
Because what you're hearing through Discord, which of course is where we're recording, what you're hearing is my headset. Which I'm wearing because I prefer to have headphones on, and I like these because they're open back. But what the podcast listeners hear is my Blue Yeti microphone, which I have in front of me. So I just hit my Blue Yeti microphone with the microphone on my headset in a move that can only be described as wholly professional.
Well, that's just how it goes, I suppose. I mean, I guess. Look, okay, I've had this on my mind. Why do iPad games exist? And I'm not talking about like actual games like Minecraft or Monument Valley or FTL or any of the free-to-play shit. I'm talking about those weird Chinese like shovelware where they're just like copyright infringing. You
mean like the really shitty mobile games that like Jim Sterling occasionally plays the ports for from that come into Steam, and he's just like, what is this?
No, I'm not talking about those. I'm not talking about those ones that like obviously rip off other games. I'm talking about those ones where it's like, what would be one? Elsa from Frozen has a bunch of rotten teeth, so you gotta pull them out and clean her gums.
I can't remember who it was. I think it was Geek Remix, the Geek Remix YouTube channel. It might have been a different YouTube channel though, where they were playing all of the browser versions of those that are on that one like shovelware website where it's like the browser version of Elsa's birth the baby. Elsa's pregnant. Help her birth her kid.
Somebody posted a screenshot where they downloaded a pregnant minion one, and I unfollowed that person from Twitter.
Oh my god!
I do not need to see that shit. And they're usually so creepy too. Like I remember watching a video, I think it was like from Peanut Butter Gamer or something, where it's like pregnant Elsa, and she's like pregnant with her sister as a baby.
Hold on, I'm gonna search this right now.
There's another one where it's like Twilight Sparkle from My Little Pony, and she's pregnant with a baby version of Twilight Sparkle.
Here it is. Girlgames.com. This is the place.
That's it.
Girlgames.com.
They port all of those so you can play them on your iPad, and they get approved. Apple approves those. Okay, here's the thing. There's an alternative to Twitter called Gabby, which has sort of promoted itself as like a free speech alternative to Twitter, because Twitter's really been cracking down on certain types of speech and stuff. So Gabby's been sort of coming in and being like, oh, we're the free speech alternative and stuff. And I have an account on there. I don't ever really go on there because I still use Twitter because everybody's still on Twitter, but just in case shit goes down, I have an account over there. But so they don't get approved by Apple. Their app doesn't get approved by Apple because it's considered hate speech. But these apps are approved.
But these apps are approved even though they're about Elsa being pregnant with her sister and you have to help her deliver the baby.
Yeah. No, not deliver the baby. Give her a C-section. Okay.
Oh, no.
It's just like... I mean... It's like... Come on, Apple. Just have some fucking consistency, please. It's... Well, that's a thing. That's a thing that exists on this planet. Thank you, China. Thank you, and bullshit. Thank your ancestors.
Oh, I will thank my ancestors for this glorious revolution in gaming.
Well, hey, I don't know where I was going with that. But speaking of shit, because I know you're on Tumblr, because you reblog stuff. I don't know how far your reblog queue is, so you may have just deleted your Tumblr, and we won't know for another 3 months.
My reblog queue is probably at about 250 right now. I haven't looked at Tumblr in 4 weeks.
Okay, so do you know anything about Kimono Friends? The anime?
Kimono Friends. Is that the CG one about the kid who gets lost in the zoo?
Yes.
Yes, I have seen that one. I've seen the first episode or two of that one.
Yeah, so I got into it because everybody was posting pictures of a girl who's supposed to be a snowbill. That big bird that has the really nasty,
with a ruffled chest and a huge weird looking beak.
Yeah, and the glare, and the joke about her is that. Here, I'll send you a picture. The joke about her, there's some fan art, is that she's actually a really, really nice person, but her glare makes everybody think she's evil, which is kind of cute. But yeah, I was here's another good example where porn can be a good thing. Rule 34 could be a good thing, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people wouldn't have even cared about this anime if it wasn't for fucking Slugbox drawing pictures of this snowbill character. But so I watched it. I watched the first 2 episodes, and I was like, I'm not gonna watch this anymore, because there was a scene where I think it was 2 owl characters are eating food, and their spoons are clipping into their face.
Yeah, the animation for that series is not the best.
It's worse than season 1 Ruby.
Yeah,
it's worse than season 1 Ruby, and I give Ruby a lot of slack, because that was made that was a totally new project that Rooster Teeth were doing. This came off the heels of a rather successful mobile game, so they had fucking money. They could have done a lot better with this. So I'm just okay, I checked it out. It's cute, but the animation's completely fucking garbage in my opinion. So I'm just gonna keep an eye out for more snowbill porn. Because that's all I really care about.
Because that's what you do when you find a series that has characters that you like, or that you like aesthetically at the very least, but you're wholly uninterested in the show and whatever else is fucking going on. All you really do is you sit around and wait for people to make porn of it, and that's your entertainment right there.
Exactly. That's where I get my money's worth, which I don't spend any money on this. So it works out. It works out. You say something meta.
Before we get too much into it, by the way, this counts as meta shit. But hello everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. Welcome to the fucking amazing podcast, or for short, FAPcast. I'm in bullshit, and I'm joined by Defmech. And
we're both horrible representations of our ethnic groups, and all we do is further perpetuate negative stereotypes of said racism, ethnic groups.
And sexism.
And sexism.
Let's just put that there, too.
And Islamophobia, I guess? I don't know. Sure.
Man, I don't even think about Islam, so I don't know how I'm doing that.
I'm gay, so there.
Okay. And you're listening, like I said, to FAPcast. This is our podcast that we've made together. It's ours, and we made it. It was made for us. I've decided that I want to start a new thing.
What's this new thing?
Since we have a platform that we post on now that is conducive to listener feedback, by which I mean that is YouTube, and YouTube comments exist, and they're very easy to make. I figure we should add back in the meta shit segment as a regular segment for us, where we read out some listener messages. We also have one message on our Tumblr, so that's great. That was unexpected for me to log into this morning when I was drinking my crack coffee and trying to decide on paints for my computer. So I figure we should probably do that because that seems like a good idea, and that's what other shows do, and that's what's professional. Correct me if I am wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if it's we could probably do it now, where we could look at interesting comments on YouTube. But if this ever takes off, that's something we should probably not do, because you know how popular videos are with comments.
Oh yes, of course.
mean, we could select a few choice bits, especially the ones trying to link you to Russian and Chinese phishing sites. Those are always good.
We don't need to read off all of them, but let's also not forget that we don't have very many to begin with.
Yeah, that's true.
So there is that.
So, are you there?
I am here. I'm trying to remember, but I'm trying to fill in the show notes right now. I'm trying to remember what the other piece of cool shit was that I had lined up for today, and I can't remember.
Okay, here's a quick YouTube comment I want to read off really quick, and this was in reply to episode 2, which I listened to episode 2, and I am not proud of that, because it seems like have you watched Rick and Morty?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so at the end of episode 1, they had that big house party.
Yeah.
So you know how there's that one little side character. This is why I love Rick and Morty, because they put so much effort into just little things like in the background, side characters and stuff. There's a lot to check out. But there's that one dude, that one alien called Slow-Mo, who was pulling pranks on everybody, and he had like Rick's. That's how the end of episode 2 sounded like. To me, and not you. You were just fine. I'm talking about me.
Because of how drunk you were, you mean?
Yes. And let me just say something, is that when you're drunk, now I will say I definitely sounded funny, but when you're drunk, you think that you're like the best talker, the best conversation haver. It's like you think you're just rapid fire shooting off these comments and stuff, and you're like, yeah, I'm doing a good job. And then you listen to yourself when you're sober, and you're like, he can barely talk.
Oh my God, I sound like a moron.
Yeah, so let me just say right now, because I'm going to bring up a cool shit thing. Because I really did. Because if we do get popular and the guy finds out we promote them, I just want him to know I am terribly sorry for that. Because that was the worst way to promote somebody. So yeah, Madamus Gaming, he's a military guy. He does really awesome videos about being in the, not just, he plays that really crazy ass fucking tank game from some country you've never heard of, that crazy realistic tank game. And he does talk about and review tanks and stuff, but he also talks a lot about military life, especially in the British military, and just various topics regarding the military. So whether you've never been in the military, or you have been in the military, or you are in the military, he's definitely a guy you should check out. He really awesome dude, and I did him a huge disservice with that cool thing where I'm just like, so I'm bullshit. There's this guy, he does tanks and he does them like car reviews, I guess, and he plays this crazy ass game that's really autistic and shit. So no, I do apologize for that. Also, he has a big giant either Malamute or a husky that's named Tank. And Tank is really kind of cool. He's a dog that in bullshit would be terrified of, because I remember when you sent me that picture of the Tibetan Mastiff, and you were talking about how terrified you were of it, because it was like a dog that's like 7 feet tall or something. And I just looked at it's like that one picture of the Tibetan Mastiff like running and barking at the same time, and it just looks like a Lovecraftian monster. I'm just like,
it's like a fuzzy horror.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, it's so cute, and you're like, that thing scares the shit out of me. So Tank is sort of like that. So yeah, again, Madamus Gaming, go check him out. Really awesome tank reviews, really awesome military video reviews. Anyway, I was supposed to get to this fucking comment. It's by Xavier the Nine. I've heard him oh, that's great. I've heard him deathmeg drunk before, but wow, I'm amazed you made it through the entire episode, lol. Entertaining regardless. Also, I'm glad to see nothing's changed and you still forget to introduce yourselves until an hour in. I'll have to paint you guys something sometimes. Cheers.
We didn't do that yet. We didn't do that this time. It only took us like 8 minutes. We're getting better. One day we will be professional.
One day we'll be like, hey guys, it's the Chinaman and the Jew here. Welcome to FAPcast.
People will just fucking know.
Yeah, it's like, the Jews talking.
Oh, good.
Oh, wait, there's somebody sounding somewhat coherent. It must be the Chinaman. And you don't have to, but a painting just sounds fucking awesome. That sounds fucking amazing. So, yeah, totally not required. You don't have to do it. But if you do fan art, let us know about it. We'll totally promote it and post it up on the FAPcast Tumblr. So, in advance, thank you. So, I did my comment. Why don't you do your comment?
Yeah, we got a message here actually. Oh, is that my car that's doing that?
Oh, oh right, you live in California.
Oh, nope, it's not my car. Okay. Just need to make sure my car alarm isn't going off.
Whose car is being broken into?
Anyways, we got a message here on our Tumblr, which of course is fapcast.tumblr.com, from Tumblr user FPSJunkie22. And he says, quote, "Hey guys, good to see that you're back making podcasts. If there's anything I learned from listening to you guys for the past several years is you're the most realist niggas I listen to. Keep up the great work. Sincerely," and it's marked here, "a fan since episode 13. Uncle Cinder's Bad Touch. Oh, that's right. It was called Uncle Cider's Bad Touch Basement Hour. P.S. I'm drunk while typing this." Now, I just want to say that Uncle Cider's Bad Touch Basement was one of the best fucking episode titles we ever came up with. It's like up there with, honestly, with Don't Buy Children. They cry a lot, and also it's illegal. I'm very proud of some of our episode titles. I think the one I'm most proud of myself that I came up with was Lying Sacks of Shit, if you remember that episode.
Yeah, that legendary episode.
It was a delightful pun and also our most listened to episode way back when.
And I'm told titles where we imply that our friends are child molesters are the best titles.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Of course. Speaking of, actually, you know what? I'm not going to tell that story. That's a bad idea. Never mind.
Okay. Yeah, let's not do that.
I'll let the listeners imagine what story I was going to tell. It involves a Nissan cargo van, and that's all I'm going to say.
Those are big vans. Those are really big vans.
Yeah, they are. We rent them at Hertz where I work. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they're very big vans and they're very white. Most of the ones I've seen are whites.
Often see them, somewhat battered, sitting in front of the middle school with words "free candy" painted on them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
True story.
Yeah. Have you had a CKY event yet?
What is a CKY event?
Okay, so you remember the show Jackass?
Yeah.
And like Bam Margera's show? Before they got picked up by MTV, they did their own videos called Camp Kill Yourself. There were about 3 or 4 videos they made.
I vaguely remember hearing about that.
Yeah, I used to have the VHSs, and then they got lost, which really pisses me off because if you buy the new versions, all of the music's been removed and replaced with like quote original music, which isn't nearly as good as the original because of the real original music, because it was all like copyrighted stuff, so it was illegal for them to do. There was this one skit where they're like, yo, it started off with like this old guy just yelling and screaming at one of them, at one of the kids. Well, they're not kids. I think they're like in their late 20s, but it's just old dude just yelling and screaming at them. And they're like, yo, we rented a car and paid the $9 insurance. And, well, let's just say that Chevy Cavalier, that $9 insurance, certainly definitely got used a lot. And that's probably why car companies don't do it anymore. Because, holy shit, they ran it through a soccer field, they pissed in it. I'm guessing at least a dozen times. I think somebody took a shit in the trunk.
Yeah. So fun fact here: when you rent a car through Hertz, there is a insurance. It's not insurance. We can't say it's insurance. We call it coverage, but it's basically like insurance. It's called a loss damage waiver, and it waives all physical responsibility for the vehicle that you are renting. So long as negligence is not obvious or found during any kind of investigation that the Hertz corporate investigative arm might do. And they are, for a economy size vehicle, which is like a Chevy Spark, they are $9 a day.
Okay, this was a Chevy Cavalier. This was in the late 90s, so yes, I guess that would be a Chevy Cruze now?
Yeah, and that now... How many seats does that car have?
It sedan has 5 seats.
Yeah, okay, so that would be what? That's a full size?
It'd be like a intermediate.
Okay, so yeah, that would be $11 a day now.
Yeah, because I'm assuming you still have the same size classifications as like Enterprise, where you have like mini, compact, intermediate, and then like
we're the
same.
We go economy, compact, mid-size, full size. Yeah,
and then we go on the website
names for the same shit.
When you go on the website, it says it will either be like a Nissan Versa or similar. And it's usually a car you never expect to get.
Yeah, in our location where I work, actually, it's predominantly Nissan Versas and Toyota Yaris's. Those are like the most common compacts that we get, and the Hyundai Accent.
Oh, jeez, wow.
Yeah.
Our like the primary like economy rental car out here or out in South Dakota is the Mitsubishi Mirage, which Mitsubishi Mirage is because I know a couple people who own those, and those are fascinating little cars. They're built kind of shit, but for a car that's built in Thailand, they're very good cars, as long as you have perspective, I guess. It's sort of like, yeah, that car is built in Russia and the panels don't match, but for a Russian car, it's really good. I still remember it wasn't on Top Gear. It was on like a sideshow that James May did, where he was like talking about cars of the people.
Cars made by countries that had recently just started like producing cars, and he was like, and its features include doors,
a steering wheel, all four wheels with tires, an engine. But one of the cars he was talking about was like the Russian Lada, which they built up until like 2010. Like they started production on it like in the early 70s. It was based on a Fiat. They licensed a Fiat in the early 70s, and they built it one generation up until 2010. So about 40 years. And the one he drove for the show was like one that was like from 2005, and it had about 3,000 kilometers on it. And he was showing it off for the video, and he's like, here you can see the door gap on this side, and he showed the door gap, and then he went over to the other side, and here's the door gap on the other side, and it was about twice as big.
Oh God.
And he showed off the paint where you could tell they didn't prime the body properly because you could see where the paint beat it up. Sort of like how, like, if you put too much paint on something, it'll beat up. And he's just like, yeah, that's just how it is in Russia. That's just how. Oh my
God.
And like he told story because he told stories of how, because they sold export versions of those cars that they sold in Europe and actually in Canada for a good 5 or 6 years. They sold a lot of Ladas, Russian Ladas in Canada. And he talked about how, like, they would put better equipment on the export models, like, better radio, better upholstery, better tires, and all that stuff. And how one of the ways that the Lada factory lost so much money was because the workers would take all the export stuff and, like, run out to the factory fence and throw it over to their friends so they could put it on their domestic Ladas because they weren't allowed to have them. It's just like, wow, building cars in not Europe, not Japan, and not North America. That's a ride. That's wild. So.
All right, and with that, I think we can move on to our main topic section here. You actually put my name first, so I don't know if you want me to go. Yeah, do you want me to go first? Mine's not very long, so.
Well, I talked for a while. I rambled for a bit, so why don't you ramble?
Well, we're getting into our main topic section this week, which is video games once more. The last episode we recorded, I think it was the last episode we recorded, we talked about some video games. I talked about Horizon Zero Dawn, which at that point I had played quite a bit of. I've played quite a bit of it more, but don't have a whole lot more to say on it. But I did want to talk about some retrospective stuff on a series that is near and dear to my heart that is about to get its latest update in just a few weeks as of this recording. So we are recording here in middle of March is when we recorded this. Don't know when it's going to air, probably late March. But as the time of this recording, we are coming very close to the release of Persona 5, which comes out one day before my birthday on April 4th. And I'm excited about that because we haven't seen a Persona game, a new Persona game in the series in a long time. And no, Persona Arena and Dancing All Night and Q and Ultimax Arena and Golden don't count because they were all fucking spin-offs of Persona 4.
Very good spin-offs.
Very good spin-offs, yes. I really enjoyed the Arc System Works fighting games. And I'm a huge fan of Arc System Works fighting games to begin with, but I actually really, really like the Persona 4 Arena games, both of them. Haven't played Q. Have heard very good things about Q, but I don't have a 3DS because I bought a Vita. And didn't ever get Dancing All Night either. I'm not really big on rhythm games anyways, but again, I've heard very good things about that. But I did play Persona 4 Golden. I finished it. I finished it about 4 times because I wanted to get a bunch of different endings that I hadn't gotten when I originally played the game on a PS2 emulator many years ago. And that was a lot of fun. And so I just want to talk a little bit about the Persona series because it's probably my favorite series of games out there. I've been a huge fan of Persona since 3, but I have gone back since and played 1 and 2, and they are very good. They're a lot more like the Shin Megami Tensei series that the Persona series is a spin-off of. Mechanically very similar, but when it got to Persona 3, they started this whole new kind of aesthetic and focus for the series that I immediately fell in love with the moment that I discovered it. Also in Persona 3, you could play as a girl, and in the Japanese version, you could date a kid who was like 12 years old. So there's that. That happened. I remember there's a lot of shit about that. That was a fun period of time on the internet, if I recall correctly. In the American version, they actually changed that whole thing so that when the kid confesses to you, you don't, instead of having the option to accept his confession and date him, or reject his confession and not date him, you have the option to reject his confession but accept him as like a younger brother and become his best friend, or reject him and fucking ignore him for the rest of the game, or something like that. And it's really funny because because of the way the game is programmed and because they didn't really have a lot of leeway with like reprogramming the game for the English version, if you do the path where you basically become like his surrogate older sister, it still like locks you out from dating other people, which is really funny.
It's almost like they half-assed it because they didn't want to take it out initially.
Yeah. I did like, that was the American version, like the way they censored it in America, I thought was actually really good. One thing that I've always been really happy with Atlas USA is that I've always felt that they've done a pretty okay job of censoring things and not losing too much.
Not like Treehouse.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a lot of, I get it. A lot of people don't like that they censor stuff when it comes over from Japan. Like, okay, whatever. You can't bring a game over where you fucking date a 12-year-old. Okay, so that's illegal in the United States, so we're not going to fucking do that. That makes sense. But a lot of people don't like the fact that they censor other stuff when it's like when it's coming in, you know, when there's media coming into America that depicts things that aren't necessarily illegal, but they still censor them. You know, like fucking,
yeah, like a character smoking in an E for Everyone game.
Yeah, exactly.
Or drinking.
Yeah, or like how in One Piece, you know, the character Sanji who smokes cigarettes, how they replaced it with like a lollipop in the American version.
Or better yet, hey guys, nothing I like more than some donuts. Or whatever the
These
fuck Brock
hamburgers
said.
Are the best. Says Brock as he eats a rice bowl. These hamburgers are delicious.
Eat your fucking hamburgers, Apollo, as he shovels sushi into his mouth.
That's one thing I've never understood about the Phoenix Wright series. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the Phoenix Wright series, but like they localize them and try to say that the game doesn't take place in Japan, but then like you look at all the like the locations in the game, you're like, this is fucking Japan.
Don't they like have some really dumb alternate history premise where like Japan and the United States never went to war, so like their relationship is even closer than it is now or something?
I have no idea. All I know is that it has this alternate history thing where the bench trial system becomes the standard in Japan.
Yeah.
And it's like a fucking, basically a fucking game show. If you ever get the chance, like, you really should see the Phoenix Wright movie. It's very good. It's directed by Takashi Miike. You know, the director of The Ring. The original The Ring.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah. Yeah, it's Takashi Miike. He's a very famous Japanese director who's known for his horror works. And he directed the adaptation of Phoenix Wright, and it is this like super zany, like wacky movie because the games are fucking wacky. Like they're bizarre.
They're just out there.
Yeah, but it's like this zany, wacky movie, but then like it's got that film grain of like a you know a late '90s horror movie, and it's like fucking creepy. But then everyone's got really ridiculously colored hair, and everyone's like really crazy. But then it's like it's filmed like a psycho thriller, but a psycho thriller where all the characters are anime. It's really funny. Like, I highly recommend you see that movie. It's very good. Anyways, I'm getting
I'll have to check it out after I watch Train to Busan, which I have on my iPad.
Anyways, I'm getting off track here. What I was going to say was, I understand a lot of people have a lot of problems with censorship, and I agree. For the most part, I do think that, if you're going to bring media to another country, that art in its original form has to stand on its own. And it's one thing to, localize a game and then just re-record, just translate the lines and have an English voice actor, read them. I don't have any problem with that. And in fact, in some cases, I actually prefer it because sometimes the Japanese voice cast is shit. But when you start, changing things in the story to change the tone of a series, then I start having a problem with it. And the only game that's done that I actually didn't hate was Persona 4. They changed a lot of stuff with two of the characters who were LGBT characters for the American release, but they actually changed it in a way that I felt was more not appropriate for an American audience, but it was more relatable, I guess, for an American audience. You had Naoto, who was essentially transgender youth, who was born female and had a desire to be male, and you had Kanji Tatsumi, who was essentially gay. And when they brought the game over to America, they changed those two characters' stories so that Naoto's was a story that wasn't necessarily about gender identity and disassociation, but it was more about Naoto working in a field that was male-dominated and felt pressured to be masculine to be respected by her peers, which I think, sexism in the workplace, I think that's a really relatable subject and a very topical subject for its time for an American audience. So while I don't necessarily agree with changing that part of the story, I think the change that they made for it made a lot of sense and also presented a story that was different from the Japanese version, but wasn't better or worse. It was just as good. With Kanji's story, instead of him being, obviously straight up literally gay, his story was more a him struggling with gender roles and being I'm this guy and everyone sees me as this super manly dude who beats the shit out of people because I do, but I also do all this other stuff that people make fun of me for that's considered really fucking girly. And also, I'm not as interested in girls as other guys. So, what does that make me? And while he wasn't, obviously gay in the American version, I felt that the story about gender roles and gender norms was still just as applicable to an American audience. And so, though they changed those stories for the localization of Persona 4 in America, and those stories remained changed for Persona 4 Golden, they did not rewrite them. They kept them the same. I actually thought that what they did with those stories was really cool because it was still what's the word? It was still not relatable, but not applicable, but it was still relevant for an American audience. And I immediately, I fell in love with that game immediately. I've played it many, many times, and I've played the golden version many, many times as well.
Yeah, I think the word you're looking for is adapt.
Well, yeah, it was a good adaptation. Yeah.
Yeah, because you have translation, and you have adaptation, and then you have just outright censorship. And
localization, because localization is still different. Sometimes, like
certain jokes. Certain jokes
don't make sense, or certain puns, don't translate very well.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
And then you have bad localization where you have characters eating rice balls and going, these donuts are really good.
Or they have a character where in the Japanese version they mention that they like pickles once, and then in the localization they're just completely fucking obsessed with pickles. Thank you, Treehouse.
But yeah, so, you know, Persona 4, it was a really good game. I enjoyed Persona 3 as well, but I've honestly been like a huge fan of Persona 4 ever since I played it. It's my favorite entry in the series, easily. Well, Persona 5 is coming out, and I've seen some shit from it, and it looks fucking amazing.
I've only seen the menu system, and I'm blown away by the menus.
Oh, God. That's one thing, like, the Persona series has always had a really neat aesthetic style. And it's only evolved more and more since 3. Oh, and the menu system is like, especially the post battle screen, where it's like the battle ends and then your character strike a pose, and then the main character turns to the left and starts running, and the background scrolls past him as the stats are going across the screen with like your experience, who leveled up, what items you got, and all that shit. And then he skids to a stop, and the background fades in to where you were standing, and the camera pans back out, and it's this seamless transition from battle to overworld. It's really cool.
I'm trying to remember, because it's been a while since I've seen the videos. Isn't it like when you're like in the character stat menu, and as you're selecting like different options like skills, equipment, equip and all that, the camera's like on them off to the side, and then as you change the menu, like the camera moves to different positions.
Yeah, the camera moves around and their poses change.
Yeah, that was really fucking cool. I really like that.
But and also, like, God, one of the things that was like the worst part of Persona 4 was they had a system where it was an overworld, and then you had to touch enemies in the overworld to initiate battle. And you had a sword that you could swing, and if you hit an enemy from behind before they saw you or noticed that you were there, you would get a bonus in battle, and you'd get to start first, and vice versa if an enemy touched you in the back. And Persona 4 was infuriating. It was damn near fucking impossible when you were first playing that game to figure out how to backstab things. And it was basically impossible when you first started out. It was really hard to figure out how to fucking do. Persona 5 now, what they've done is they've actually created a stealth system in the overworld where you have to basically like Metal Gear your way around. And there's and the reason why they did that is because the way they limit you grinding too much is as you get discovered by enemies, and the more you run away from fights without killing enemies, the more this meter goes up in the dungeon of them being aware of your presence, and then they kick you out. Because the whole aesthetic of the game is that you and your friends are this band of gentlemen thieves who are entering these lavish castles trying to steal shit from these nasty people. So like you're literally like running around in these really expensive places, like hiding and stealing stuff, and you have to go and backstab enemies so that they don't notice you when you kill them, so that the alarm isn't raised. And if you raise the alarm to 100, then you're booted out of the dungeon and a day passes, and you have to spend another day going back in.
So it's sort of like Lies of Locke Lamora.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of. Yeah.
Great book. If you haven't read Lies of Locke Lamora, go read it.
And that was the other thing was that that's always been really cool about Persona is that since Persona 3, there's always been this sort of system of there's this other world that exists, and it's created from this kind of thing that's bred from humans. In Persona 4, it was the world of the television, and the world of the television was this disgusting and gross, distorted version of the real world where everything was fucked up and
don't talk about Bear's home like that.
and like people's desires and darkest thoughts were made manifest.
So like the warp in Warhammer 40K.
Yeah, and what made that so great was that, Persona 4 was very much about this game about how teenagers' minds are warped by societal pressure that comes from entertainment. So you had this character named Rise who was a pop idol, and her whole story was that like her life was her emotional well-being was basically fucking ruined by the idol industry because spoilers, being a Japanese idol fucking sucks. I don't know if any of you know that. It's terrible. It's a terrible job. And, you know, she was just this teenager who got into the entertainment industry, and then she got a stalker, and there's all this pressure, and she had to diet, you know, and all this shit, and there was all this expectation placed on her, you know, and that was the whole theme of that game. In Persona 5, it's basically you're this group of kids who are meeting all of these really shitty adults who are abusing their power because they think themselves powerful because either they have a lot of money or they're a teacher in a school. And what you do is you go into this alternate reality where wherever they think themselves strong is this castle and they're the king of it, and you have to go in and steal their shit to make them weaker. Like the first one you go to is there's this I'm going to spoil the game a little bit. This is like the first hour of the game, so it's not really a big spoiler, but there's a character named Kamoshida who is a PE coach, and I haven't seen a whole lot, so don't quote me on this, but my understanding of this whole segment of the story is that he abuses his power as a teacher to abuse the kids. And that includes physical abuse, overtraining and physical abuse for like volleyball practice and stuff. It also includes inappropriate contact with female students, and like really inappropriate contact with female students.
Jeez,
and
yeah.
at some point, something he does causes a girl who is a good friend of one of the main characters of the game to kill herself. And so you go into his alternate world castle, which is just, you go into the school and you enter the alternate world of the school, and it's his castle, and he's got, you know, he's surrounded by all these teenage girls who are like wearing basically nothing, and his dungeon is full of all the guys from the track team that he's just like whipping. And he's like, this is my castle, and, you know, I'm king of it. And that's like the whole idea of the alternate world is that's how he sees himself in the real world. That's like a physical manifestation of how he feels he is when he's at school. And then they have to take him down to stop him from abusing kids. And that's sort of my understanding of the game. Now, of course, I haven't seen a whole lot of it, but my understanding of the game is that's basically what it is. It's this group of kids who are stopping these really abusive adults. Which I think is a really interesting story. More interesting, in fact, than the whole like entertainment mass media story they had going on with Persona 4. Also, the aesthetic of Gentleman Thieves is just cool.
And you should go totally read Lies. We gotta do one of our episode topics needs to be like Lies of Locke Lamora. That's such a good book. You say Gentleman Thieves and it just reminds me of Lies of Locke Lamora.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Also, the last thing I wanted to touch on is once again they've brought back series composer Shoji Meguro, who did the music for Persona 1, Persona 3, and 4, and now he's doing 5. And I've already listened to the soundtrack because the game's been out for like over a year in Japan, so I've already listened to the soundtrack, and it's good. It's very good.
Nice. I remember his soundtrack from Persona 4, so yeah, definitely top tier. You mentioned that, and that whole like old versus new in like Persona 5, and I've actually kind of noticed that in other Japanese media, mostly in Shin Godzilla, where. Yeah, it's a monster movie about Godzilla, but what it's really about, and what the most fascinating part about it is how it's sort of like, it's not really a passing of the guard, it's more like, you fuckers are way too old, and this is like a new Godzilla, and we need a new way of thinking, so get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah, I remember you talked about that on a previous episode. Yeah,
and there's just something I've noticed that I'm wondering if that's becoming a thing now in Japanese media, where it's starting to like push out the old and bring in the new.
I think, you know, especially in recent years, but it's always been like this, but it's been like this more in recent years, is there's coming to be this new wave of entertainment from Japan about youth empowerment.
Yeah.
Because that's absolutely what the Persona series has always been about, youth empowerment, which is one of the reasons why I like it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, and there's no society that needs it more than the Japanese society. I mean, holy shit. So, all right, I guess I'll get into my shit. Nier Automata came out actually on the PS4 like last week, or it came out on the 7th on the PS4, but nobody really gave a shit because everybody's waiting for the PC port. So the PC port came out on Friday the 17th, and I've been playing it. I've actually only gotten to the first bunker because I haven't had a whole lot of time to play it. Plus, I also want to do a recording of it because I'm playing it on a mid-range, a mid-tier, previous generation laptop. So I recorded the first part of it for YouTube, so that way other people with similar hardware can know what the game will look like if they decide to purchase it, because it is a pretty demanding game. And now I'm playing through it again. And the reason I say, why don't you just autosave? This is a game made by a dude named Yoko Taro, and he's fucking psychotic. He's a okay. If you need to know who Yoko Taro is, go watch the video where it's him showing the Nier Automata t-shirts. Have you seen that video and bullshit?
I have.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what he's like, you know. I mean, he's like, I'd say he's more spastic than Studio 51. But, you know, just as crazy. So because of that, when you start the game, you can't save the game. You can't save the game at the beginning. You can't save the game until about an hour in, and after you defeat the first boss. Then you can save. This has led to a lot of people getting really angry at the game because they die. And they have to start the game completely over. And I played it. I've been playing it, and it's like, really, you guys are dying? Because I'm really, really bad at Dark Souls. I'm fucking terrible at Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and as well Bloodborne, as I found out. I'm fucking terrible at Bloodborne.
The game is fucking hard, though.
But, like, Nier Automata is like a very easy Dark Souls.
I'd say it's accessible.
It's accessible, yes. It's accessible. It has what people want in a Dark Souls game, like the basics, like, you know, it has like a enemy projection, you know, there's cooldowns, you know, you have to time, you know, especially with your heavy attack, you have to time when it hits, so you don't, you know, so if you need to get out of the way, you can. It does all that, but it's way, way more forgiving. So when I'm seeing people complain about the whole save thing, it's like, yeah, it's kind of sadistic, but really you should be... I mean, if you're bad at Dark Souls, you still do just fine here. And this is not me being like, oh, elite gamer, none of that bullshit. It's just like, no, you should be able to fucking get this. I mean, basically what it is that the first part of the game is the demo from the PS4. You know, so if you play the demo on the PS4, that's where, and then like at the end of that demo is when you can save. So, so there's been so there's been people angry about that. Other than that, it's been a perfect PC port launch. I'd say this is the most perfect PC port I've ever seen. And other game developers need to take note. Platinum knows how to make epically awesome PC ports.
Shit, we've fucking known that Platinum can do that though since like, God, was Revengeance on PC?
I'm lying.
Oh,
It's fucking terrible, dude.
because like the last game I played from them was Korra, and the fucking port for that was really good.
Oh, okay. I'm saying it's fucking terrible. It's not terrible. It's totally playable. It's totally serviceable. But there's a couple glaring issues, and I don't blame Platinum for this. I blame Squeenix. And the two biggest ones that has got really everybody really butthurt is I haven't noticed it as far as the controls. Sometimes your inputs don't go through. I've been playing it with an Xbox One controller on Bluetooth, and I haven't noticed that issue. So I don't know if these people are playing with like a 360 controller or a wired controller or a PS4 controller, or if for some god unknown reason they're playing with a fucking mouse and keyboard, which why the fuck are you doing that? So I'm not quite certain about that, but the one that actually I feel is like totally like inexcusable is that I think the guy in the truck next to me is fucking or something. His truck is shaking back and forth really weird, rhythmically. I'm not going to stare at that. That's actually kind of creeping me out. But when you go in the graphics settings, you can set it to 1080p. The highest it actually is 900p. So even if
the fucking port locked it to what the console.
Yes,
what the console resolution is going to be. That's awesome.
Yeah, but what everybody's angry about is that it says 1080p, but it's actually 900p. It's like,
yeah, that's because the actual resolution of the window is 1080, but the fucking internal resolution isn't.
It's 900. So
amazing.
Yeah. Other than that, the game I think is just fine. You know, and it may be, as far as the input thing, it could just be, you know, I got lucky and my Xbox One controller works just fine. I haven't played it with a PS4 controller, and I actually care about myself and I don't want to harm myself, so I'm not going to play it with a keyboard and mouse. And if you do, please get help. People love you. Don't do this. Don't do that to yourself, please. But God, other than that, fucking gorgeous game. I will say, like, on my hardware, I've been running it to get a good 40 to 50 FPS. I've been running it at low settings because it is a very demanding game. And it just looks fucking gorgeous. Even at the low settings, just like the landscape, not really the landscape, but more like just how much detail to put into everything. And God, her fucking thighs, dude. Holy shit. Yeah. Just thick. I think I said before when I was drunk, it's just the way her pantyhose just slightly squeezes them, so you get that very slight bulge that everybody just gets fucking rock hard for.
Was it you who talked? Who talked? I can't remember if it was you who talked about, like, if you spend too much time trying to look up her skirt, she kicks the camera away.
Yeah, she slaps the camera away, and I tried that, and she does. She does.
That is an amazing feature of the game.
But you can cheat, because if you get the day one edition, then you get the skin of her without the skirt.
Ah, of course.
So it's her just running around and basically just in like the top part of her outfit's still there, and it's just she's wearing her panties. That's all. So yeah, you could do that. Yeah. Other than that, God, yeah, I'm having a blast. I'm loving this game. I'm really fucking loving it. And I include a link in our main topic of it's a link to a video by Super Bunny Hop called "What You Missed from Nier," and George went through the labor and the pain and the struggle of playing all the previous Nier games, so you don't have to. So you can go watch this video and get completely caught up, and not worry about missing anything out on the lore, because you shouldn't have to go play the previous Nier games. So go watch that video and you'll be good to go. Yeah. So that's pretty. I haven't finished the game yet. When I finish the game, I'll talk more about it. And I suppose, are you gonna be playing it, or are you passing this one?
I will be playing Nier Automata. Unfortunately, I have to finish Horizon Zero Dawn and Atelier Furious so I can play Andromeda, which I had to finish so I can play Persona 5. And after that, then I'll probably pick it up.
Okay. All right.
Because Andromeda and Persona 5 were higher on my list than Nier.
Yeah. When I found out it was coming out for the PC, Nier just sort of became my one game.
I'm glad that it did come out on PC though.
Yeah, it's just
I wish that more, or not. I wish that more. I'm glad that more JRPGs are doing that. I wish that even more would.
Yes, definitely. Final Fantasy 15. I would love to see it on the PC. Which you hear rumors that it might be coming out, but until anything official, I'm just not gonna get my hopes up. And also, I'm actually looking through the Nier Automata Steam discussion forum, and it appears that the people who are having the most problems in regards to graphics and stuff are people with very high-end hardware.
Yeah.
Like people with like 980 Ti's or 1080s. Like the people with people like me, the fucking poverty master race, like with our 960s and our 1050 Ti's, the game runs just fine. It appears that like people with high end hardware are having the most issues. So yeah. Other than that, I've been getting back into War Thunder, because I'm like, I just need a game that just abuses me. I need to be hurt. And it's like, if I'm gonna have to grind my fucking ass off to get anything, in a supposedly free to play game, why not go with the best? So I'm going back to War Thunder. Because I'll be honest, the only reason I got into Warframe was because of the porn. That's pretty much it. And I'm not that far down in my life where World of Tanks looks appealing. I'm not that bad off. So I've been going back to War Thunder. I've been watching.
You're one tier above, one tier up.
Yeah, one tier above, one tier above. So I've been playing it, and I don't have any like premium tanks or aircraft yet, but so I've been watching a ton of videos, just like looking at like okay, which country do I want to go with, and which of their premium tanks do I think is the best? Because I'm not playing this game of like, oh, I'm gonna go with the country I like the best. I'm gonna go with whichever one has the coolest tanks and aircraft that I like, because fuck your nationalist bullshit. And so I've been watching a lot of videos that reviews like the premium equipment, because basically the way you play War Thunder is you buy a premium tank or aircraft and you just use that to grind RP, and then you take that RP and then you buy one of the free tanks that you want. So that's what I'm doing. And so I've been watching a lot of reviews of just like the tanks and stuff, and well, they've been putting a lot of tanks and a lot of equipment into the game. Like, I think now they're starting to, like, as far as aircraft, they're starting to put in more and more jet aircraft and, like, jet aircraft, like, from the 50s and stuff, which is really fucking neat because it's like you're getting, like, aircraft from the 30s and 40s and the 50s all going in the battle together, and it's like really interesting, kind of fucking weird. And like with the tanks, you got tanks from like basically the end of World War I up until the 1970s, which is just fucking crazy. And they've also been putting in tanks where they are real tanks. They were tanks that were considered by various nations, but luckily cooler heads and less crazy people prevailed, so they never actually built these fucking things. You know, like, I don't know, and bullshit, have you ever heard of the Mouse? The World War II Nazi Germany tank? That was
yes.
like 200 tons, like it was like 200 or 300 tons, and it was like 3 stories tall and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the game. You can buy that.
Oh, God.
So, you can buy. You can get. Well, I don't know if you can buy. I think you have to grind for it. But like, if you were to like grind for it, even with a premium tank, it would take you like 6 or 7 months. So nobody even fucking bothers. You know. But it's like, hey, it's in there if you want it. But the thing is, like, there's never anything to like counter it because it's just so goddamn big and so heavily armored that it was just basically unstoppable. So they've been putting more and more tanks in. What they've been putting in are like these prototype tanks that maybe had like in real life had like 1 or 2, you know, actual prototypes, and they've been putting in tanks where it's like they sketched out like idea, like they sketched it out and designed it, but never actually fucking built it because it's like, holy shit, this is really fucking dumb. Why would we ever put this in the battle or production? And you know, so and like my favorite ones are the howitzer tanks, where it's not just like self-propelled artillery. It's like literally. They, for some reason, like in the 40s and 50s, they got this idea of like, hey, let's just take our artillery pieces and put them on a tank. And so the crazies, and like those are actually really fun to play because all you really have to do in the game, because the one caveat is that while their guns are so fucking powerful, they're really, really weak. And their ammo boxes are usually in a place that somebody can easily hit. And so because War Thunder, the thing that people really like about War Thunder is that they have realistic physics and tank models. So like, you know, they take into account where like the commander and the driver and the gunner stand or sit in the tank, and where the ammo is and where the engine is. So it's like you can't just like hit a tank in one spot so many times and eventually you'll die. It's like, no, you gotta like aim for specific areas, you know, to either disable certain parts of the tank. So you got aim at one area to take out the driver, or you know, it's way more realistic than World of Tanks, and that's why people legitimately really fucking love it. So yeah, these fuck all tanks with the artillery pieces are just so easy to fucking kill. They're so easy to kill. So what people do is that they will just go onto the map and they'll just find a nice cozy area and just bombard the capture points. Because it's like, you're gonna get a fucking kill because you're basically firing artillery at the capture point, so somebody's gonna fucking die. And hopefully if the other side's smart enough, they got a really fast scout tank that'll go around and just shoot at your ammo box and hopefully fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're not gonna fucking win. So a while ago, they put this in a while ago, but I'm just learning of it now because it's a British tank, and the British tanks didn't come in to the game until much later, because initially it was just United States, Germany, and Russia had tanks, and then now they've added more countries. Like I think now they have Great Britain and Japanese tanks, and I think they're going to start putting in Chinese tanks and Italian tanks. So for the British, they found these mock-ups and these sketches and these design documents for a tank that had a 183 millimeter artillery piece put onto it. And if you don't know, 183 millimeters is gigantic. I just sent you a picture of it. I'm going to link it in the doc. Just look at that.
It looks like a fucking ATST.
Okay, here's some stats about this tank.
This looks like shit out of fucking Star Wars.
This was a tank that Great Britain, that the UK thought about, and then said no.
Briefly considered.
Very briefly considered.
Okay, I want to hear these stats. Tell me the stats of this vehicle.
Okay, let me pull up the stats really quick. Because I just had the picture. Actually, you know what? I just have to go to the Wikipedia page because all these tanks are just are their stats are based on. Okay, let's look at these stats here. Okay, it costs 6.1 million RP, so it's gonna take you a long ass time to earn this tank. It weighs 54 tons. The gun is 183 millimeters, so gigantic. It weighs 54 tons. It only has a 650 horsepower engine, so its max speed on hard surfaces is 35 kilometers an hour. In rough terrain, it's 12. So 12 kilometers an hour. That's about 5 miles an hour.
Oh, God.
It can only traverse about 30 degrees because if you were to, like, treat it like a real tank and fire it, like, from the side, the tank will fall over. So, yeah, you can't fire it from the side. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here's the armor of the hull. Its thickest is 76 millimeters, and its thinnest is 38 millimeters, meaning... And that's pretty standard for a tank, because that's the hull itself, that's that bottom part. The turret itself is only 14 millimeters, and that's also where all the ammo is. 14 millimeters is like cardboard. It's very, very fucking thin. So... all you have to do is aim at the turret, and you'll fucking kill it. It'll just blow up. Here's what I think is the best part. You want to take a guess at how many artillery shells it carries? Most of the tanks, the standard number for total shells that the average tank in the game is about 100 shells.
What is this, like 30?
12.
Oh my God.
And it's and the reload time is 43 seconds. So,
oh my God.
So yeah, this tank is in the game for shits and giggles. It's like, here you go. Now you can see. Now let's see why the UK never bothered to put this into production. And actually, you know, I'm gonna link a video where a guy tests it, because there's a preview arena where you can test drive any tank, and they set up like a bunch of different sized tanks that you can pretend shoot at. And this guy goes and he does a test run with this tank, and he's like, I wonder how many shots it'll take to kill a mouse. You know, that gigantic 3-story tall tank. One shot. You can one shot. You can one shot a fucking mouse. So yeah, this is why. Okay, now I noticed in that picture it says World of Tanks. So apparently this tank is also in World of Tanks, but I'm playing the good version, War Thunder. So it's basically the same tank, but I guess you can get it in both games. But yeah, I'm gonna link to the YouTube video where I first heard about this, because this thing is fucking stupid. And by the way, for people wondering if they haven't seen the documents yet, the tank is the FV4005 Stage 2. And it's in War Thunder. And holy shit. It's fucking amazing. So that's all I got to talk about in my main topics. Hello?
Sorry, what?
Oh, I'm done talking. I'm done.
Sorry, I got distracted by something related to the cool shit that I was going to talk about today.
Oh, shit. Well, yeah, let's get on to the cool shit.
Speaking of cool shit, we're going to go on to our cool shit segment. Of course, this is the segment of our show where we link two things that we think are cool that we find during the week. And as always, you can find these things and anything else that we link in the show notes for each episode. Each episode has its own show notes, and you can find them in the description box for the YouTube videos or in the post on the Tumblr, on the Tumblr posts on our Tumblr. Of course, we'll link all those things to you later. So I'm gonna start us off. At some point, we're gonna switch our names so that you're gonna go first at some point, but I keep forgetting to do that. So I'm gonna go first. My first piece of cool shit here is called the PSO2 Tweaker. This is a bit of a niche thing that not many of our fans are going to really be that interested in, but this is a English patcher, a replacement for the Phantasy Star Online 2 launcher in English that helps you automatically get English updates, which are all fan translated, to Phantasy Star Online 2. And helps you configure all your in-game settings, gives you a nice layout in English. So for those of you who, like me, are fans of Phantasy Star and are, like me, disappointed that Phantasy Star Online 2 never came out in America, well, the solution is here, and it's called the PSO2 Tweaker, and it's pretty awesome. So if you want an opportunity to play Phantasy Star Online 2 in English, this is probably your best bet.
Yeah.
There's also a link in this site to a fan patch for Phantasy Star Nova, which was the Phantasy Star game released on Vita.
There are people who are really, really obsessed with Phantasy Star. Because how long did the Dreamcast server last? Isn't there like a fan server for the Dreamcast version?
I think there actually is still a fan server for the Dreamcast version.
Oh my god. More power to you. I mean, holy shit. You know, I mean, more games need that. More games need, dedicated fans like that. So,
for reference, just if any of you are wondering if this fan patch is still updated, the latest update to the PSO2 Tweaker is today, the day of this recording. So, it is an ongoing project.
Nice. That's cool. That's really cool. So, all right, I finally found the video, so let me just insert it into the, for this fuck all tank. I just love that. War Thunder, look at this shit. So, my cool thing is this dude on YouTube, called Sassy and Opinionated. And what this guy did is he made a bunch of videos talking about the history of 4chan. And also the history of Newgrounds. And he talks about all the boards and goes through their history. You actually learn a lot about the boards that I learned a lot about the boards that I never knew about. And he's also very funny and very offensive, like any proper 4chaner would be. So yeah, there isn't really a whole lot to say about this guy. He did these really funny videos.
He speaks for himself.
Yes, he speaks for himself. He is sassy and opinionated. I will say, because I know a lot of our fans are bronies, early on in the videos, he's very harsh towards bronies, but they slowly grow on him. So cool your heels. If you're one of those bronies who gets really mad when people talk shit about bronies, just chill. Just chill. So, yeah. That's my
right.
first cool thing.
My second piece of cool shit here is a SoundCloud link to a song called Calc. Now, MDF Mac, I know you just clicked on it. Don't play it yet, because
Okay.
I want you to hear the explanation for what this is. Okay. So the song is called Calc. Calc is a moderately famous song originally done with the Miku Hatsune Vocaloid.
Oh my God! Is
moderately
this Miku?
famous-
Is this?
Not yet.
Oh.
No, let me tell you the story. So this is originally a Miku song. It's actually one of my favorite Miku songs. I'm a huge fan of this song. I really like it. Anyways, so that's Vocaloids. We all know what Vocaloids are, right? Yeah. Okay. Good. There's another program called Utao, which is Japanese for sing, that is similar to Vocaloids, but it has its own engine for letting you create a voice. And you create a voice the same way they originally did with Miku, where you just have a person say all of the syllables in the Japanese language, and you record them, and you string them together, and it builds a voice out of that. Well, the new form of shitposting, thanks to this fucking program, is people combing through television and just getting like clip after clip after clip of somebody talking and trying to cut up their voice to get the syllables in the Japanese language and make them sing songs. And there have been some incredible ones, including a duet between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump that I started crying because I was laughing so hard. But anyways, this one is by far my favorite because somebody actually created an Utao engine out of SpongeBob's voice.
Oh my God.
And they got him to sing one of my favorite Miku songs, Calc.
Okay, well, I'm going to play it right now, so if you want to do some fancy editing and put this in there while I'm listening to it, go ahead.
I think that'll get us copyright striked on YouTube. I can almost assure you that it will get us copyright striked on YouTube. I've linked it so you all can find it.
Okay, I just got to the vocals. I need to stop. Yeah, if you edit it and stop it about the 20-second mark, because fuck that. No. No.
It's eerie. It is eerie how well it works and how much it sounds like SpongeBob. It is creepy.
What you should do is put it in a little record scratch, like, nope, gotta stop. Nope.
No, I can almost guarantee that'll get us copyright striked. It is a very famous song, so.
Oh man, wow. That's yeah, I wasn't prepared for that. Jesus. Okay, well, on to something better. There's this website called Tastemade. There's an English version and a Japanese version. The English version I don't really like, and especially in comparison to the Japanese version, because the Japanese version, I include the YouTube and the Twitter. You can watch it however you like. I actually prefer watching it on Twitter because it comes up on my dash a couple times a day, and it's like a nice little surprise because they post usually minute-long videos. It's an overhead camera over the preparation area, and they prepare a dish, and they include like you're supposed to imply what you're supposed to do just from watching it, and then they put simple instructions for like temperature and time, and it's just them preparing food, and it's amazing and wonderful, and more people need to experience this. Unfortunately, it's all in Japanese, so you can't really get. It's not really useful if you don't speak Japanese, but it's really fucking awesome.
This is still a neat channel, though.
Yeah, it's still an awesome channel just to watch. And it's. I wish that their English version was just this, except with English text, but nah, their English version is just something completely different. It's just like a regular like cooking YouTube channel, which compared to the Japanese version isn't nearly as interesting. Yeah. So yeah, it's more food. Everybody loves food. So that's all I got. What do you think of it? You probably watched one looking
yeah, I've already subscribed to this channel. There's a couple things, like a couple of videos on here that I'm looking at that's like you don't actually need to speak Japanese to figure out how to make the things that are in here. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, like you can figure out like when it shows up a bit of moon speak and it says like 350, or it says like not 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Like, it says like a large number, and you can assume, oh, that's the oven temperature, and then the other one is like a smaller number, and you're like, oh, that's how many minutes. So you can imply, you can figure it out, but there's some recipes where it's like you just.
Where it's like, I don't know what that ingredient is, and it's probably something really vital.
yeah, it's like, okay, that's a white powder I've never seen before, so it could be MSG, it could be salt, I don't know. or it's like, okay, that's obviously octopus, and I don't like octopus. They also do a lot of really awesome desserts as well. Yeah,
and I just saw one where they baked an apple inside a crust, and like they filled the apple with butter and sugar, and then wrapped a crust around it and baked it. And I was like, oh, that's a really neat idea. I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah, it's like the simple recipes where you can figure it out are awesome, but it's still just fun to watch the more complex ones, and. I wish that the English version was this, but it's not. Again, it's just a regular cooking channel. So, yeah. All right, that's all for my cool shit.
All right, with that we wrap up the cool shit segment. Once again, that brings us to the end of an episode, and my name once more is Bullshit. And I'm just going to do this little... We have an extra section here in our show notes that says Find Us. I'm just going to read that off real quick like we do every episode. Yes. You can find our podcast Tumblr at FAPcast.tumblr.com. That's the main blog that we usually look at. We don't look at the YouTube channel that much. Well, I don't know if Daft does.
I check it out every couple days.
Yeah, and right now the YouTube channel, or the YouTube videos are being hosted on DefMix channel, and we are working on getting a different channel for them so that podcast and work is totally separated. We're not going to host it on my channel because podcast and work totally separated and all that. Also, I don't have my channel verified, so I can't put over the long videos.
Also, I do want to do more of my own original content on my YouTube channel, so it would just be best just to it's just best to have podcasts be podcasts and my shit be my shits, which we'll get to eventually.
Yeah, so we are working on moving all that stuff over. I am still working on getting our stuff archived so that it can be downloaded. If any of you want to listen to the podcast on your phones or MP3 players, I totally understand. I highly, highly recommend using a YouTube to MP3 converter right now. I don't care. I don't mind. Please do it. Go ahead.
Let me just reiterate, we're Creative Commons. You have the full right to download and redistribute and remix this podcast all you want, just as long as you don't sell it.
Yeah. So there's that. As far as my social media is concerned, my main blog is my Tumblr blog, which I admittedly haven't looked at for a long time, but I'm getting back into it, I promise. And that's mbullshit.tumblr.com. That's mbulsht.tumblr.com. And you can take that name, mbulsht, and type it into Twitter and YouTube, and that's where I am. And all this stuff is linked in our show notes.
And hopefully his Twitter account hasn't been hijacked again.
Yeah, by someone trying to sell sunglasses.
All right, for me, I'm just going to link my art Tumblr. It's wildactdraws@tumblr.com. I draw stuff. A lot of it's not safe for work. A lot of it has big tits and big hips and kind of not really attractive faces, but hey, I draw it and I like it, so fuck you. And there's also my Twitter, which I get rather political and stuff, and also retweet a lot of near automata, specifically 2B pictures and porn, because 2B is fucking awesome. And then there's my YouTube channel, which is where you can find these podcasts for the duration. I guess that's what we'll call this. We'll call this the duration. And also my own videos. I'm moving away from commentary. To be honest, I'm really kind of getting bored with it, and plus a lot of other people do it, like, again, Sargon Vakad, Mr. Epsilon, Chris Reagan, all that shit. They do it, and they do a way better job of it, and I'm just gonna start doing more original shit. I've got a SimCities 2000 video coming out. I'm also gonna do videos about the interstate highway system, and trust me, I'm gonna interject it with a lot of raunchy humor, because honestly, the interstates are pretty fucking boring. So I'm going to try and interject it with a lot of raunchy humor. Thanks CGP Grey, but done by a Jewish fur fag with a really bad potty mouth. So, yeah, that's it. I'm done. Fuck off. Go away. Why the fuck are you still here?
Bye.
Bye. And stop.